pitch your samples to be in the same key. Like, anyways, that's a whole other thing for another conversation. But yeah, humility goes a long way, a long way.
Yeah, it's tough in this industry to kind of have the humility to say like, not only this is what I'm not good enough at, this is actually what I'm good at, and kind of deciphering between those two is super, super difficult, I think, and I think it just takes time. Like this industry humbles you because you'll get thrown so many curveballs and it's just hard. So eventually you just kind of realize like, oh, okay, I'm just doing my thing.
Yeah.
And that humbles you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Any other tips for, I don't know, getting your songs out and into sync? Like you kind of mentioned that it needs to sound kind of generic. You didn't use that word, but I'm deciphering that word.
Boy, do I. Okay. These are more or less tips, just kind of in general. Not necessarily geared towards sync, very applicable, but like kind of like we've talked about. Take your time. Like this is not going to happen overnight, but you also need to work really hard. Like you are full on going to be in a phase of your life that lasts for 2 to 3 years where you are just grinding. Not every day, but you're grinding, right? In fact, if you do it all overnight, you're probably going to fail because your ego, your skills, and your business development is not going to be there. Number 2, find a mentor that fits with you. It's great to find people who are there, a few steps ahead of you, who can kind of guide you along that way. For me, that was Mark. But before I found Mark, there were a few other people who had reached out on Instagram who were like, hey, join my artist development program. You'll get here within 3 weeks. We'll release 5 albums in 5 years. Pay me $600 a month. And I didn't vibe with that. I didn't vibe with them. We hopped on a call and it just felt awkward. Take your time. Find a mentor that fits with you. Number 3, build community. You are not going to be able to build something by yourself for your entire life, right? You need people around you who are going to support you. You need coaches, you need teammates, you need people that you yourself are mentoring. These are going to be the people that are going to support you and grow with you. Number 4, can you tell I wrote these down last night? So glad that I did.
They're really good.
Cool. Number 4, kind of in line with that, be the person that reaches out until people start reaching out to you, right? So like there isn't going to be a time where you all of a sudden can be like, I'm going to stop reaching out to people. There's always going to be people that you're going to reach out with or reach out to that you are going to need to connect with. Like even when people start reaching out to you, but people will tell you, people in the industry will kind of tell you and respond to you in ways that affirm your growth, but don't try to overinflate your sense of ego by kind of superimposing, growth that isn't there yet. I guess continuing on, you are going to have to let some connections in your life go. People are not always going to grow with you. That was a really hard lesson for me to learn. One of my biggest mentors a few years ago, we just did not grow the same way. I'm doing something different. It was a very explosive friend breakup, just because COVID brought out the worst in everyone. But you are going to have to be okay with letting some people go, right? People are not going to grow with you. I have 3 more.
Please.
A lot of them.
I'm all ears,
Oh, man. Okay. Having talent will only get you so far, right? There's a few different things in this. Number 1, do not listen to friends and family when they tell you you're the shit. First of all, you are the shit. Second of all, there's different levels of good shit, right? I love McDonald's. I'm not going to say McDonald's is going to be a 5-star hamburger, but it hits the right places sometimes. So like you need to be aware of how good you actually are. And then from there, continue to work on your skills development. I'm still working on stuff. Like I am not where I want to be. I don't think I'll ever be where I want to be because that goal of where I want to be keeps moving farther as I grow towards it. Work on your skills development. From there, work on your business development. There's a bunch of stuff that needs to happen in your like creative business that has nothing to do with the actual act of being creative. I have an ebook on it. It's on my website. It's not finished, but you can go download it if you want it. It's free. And then positioning and community really is everything. So you really have to set yourself up to be in the right place at right times. There's no way to plan that. Just kind of be on the lookout for these opportunities. They will happen unexpectedly. And then last thing, be open to trying things and going in different directions, right? Like I am not a full-time music producer. I wanted to be a full-time music producer, but I'm not. Like I grew in a different direction. I never thought I would be a director of A&R. I never thought I would be super happy spending the last 4 weeks of my life writing email campaigns and setting up different systems for when we transition into a new platform in January. Like I'm not a full-time music producer, but I do work full-time in music and I love it. Right? So be open to trying things and going different directions. So anyways, those are my top, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Top 8 tips. Great.
Tips from Enoch, everybody.
Tips from Enoch.
We'll pop them in the show notes, as like a list. Awesome. That was really good. Tons of great takeaways in there. And I was thinking being open to new things that's hard because I feel like we get so set on like you were kind of saying at the end there, like you get so set on this like picture of what you want to attain and your goals drive so much of what you work on and you never know where life is going to take you and which direction it's going to go. And maybe you'll go back to producing full time one day or maybe you won't, but like you gotta, sometimes you gotta like see what's beckoning you, what the universe is telling you to do, I guess. Yeah. Actually, so speaking of that, we kind of talked about this before the podcast started recording, but you were telling me that you're obviously you're still working on productions, but you kind of said like I'm a one production a month kind of guy because otherwise it's too all encompassing. And we were kind of talking about how I was saying that like, even though I could, maybe I want to mix the most of all the things, I don't want to only mix because I need a bit of producing in my life because that kind of gives me that creative energy that helps inspire me. But if I do too much of it, and I think this is what you were getting at, it could be quite overwhelming because, production is almost like a marriage because you're just so invested in it. And it's like, I already have a family. I don't have enough room in my life for another one. You know what I mean? Like, is that kind of what the situation is like for you? Do you want to get into it?
Oh yeah, definitely. I just realized that every single time I took on more than 3 clients at a time, I would burn out incredibly quickly. It just didn't work with me. It didn't work with the way that my brain likes to work. And it was really sobering. Like I had to realize that the goal that I had for a solid 3 to 4 years of my life was not attainable. And I had to pivot from there. Like, that doesn't mean that I quit producing music. I took a sabbatical from it for about 5 months and then got back into it with a different position. We'll get into that in a little bit. But yeah, just kind of realizing that what I wanted to do didn't work with the way that I liked functioning was a really hard thing. And so I'm really lucky, actually, that this job with that pitch came along because that is how my brain thinks. Right? Like I think in like just a bunch of different dots that I'm connecting and then like from there kind of fulfilling. But I can't systemize my creativity. I can't just chug out songs. I'll burn out so quickly and then it leads to, just depression and a lot of therapy, and therapy is expensive. So
yeah. I'm looking into it at the moment, so I know what you're talking about. Yeah, that really is what it is. It's such a dynamic beast, you know what I mean? The production end of things, because on the one hand, it's like it's so inspiring. It's what we live for almost, because like we're only working in music because we love it so much. But it just takes so much emotional energy to do it at a good level. You know what I mean? Like I feel like people that bang it out and then just do a production in a few hours and move on to the next one and don't think too much about it. Like that's not my type. Like I go deep. I'm like perfectionist. You know what I mean? Like it's hard to let go of things, and you have a vision of perfection that you're striving for. You know what I mean? So you can't it's hard to just be like, okay, that's it, next. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't really systematize that.
It's very difficult. It's really hard.
Yeah. Well, I like your answer because I feel like not everybody would have the balls to say that. You know what I mean? Like I feel like some people would be like, no, but this is my journey, this is my destiny. I'm going to do this no matter what, even if it drives you into the ground. But you said like, listen, my mental health can't handle this. Like this is the limit. You know what I mean? But you're still doing it, but you're doing it in the capacity that you can handle. I love that.
I would also say that like focusing, a lot of people that I've talked to, at least who are just starting off, they tend to put all of their eggs in one basket. They focus all of their energy into producing music to the point where their personal development and like health falls down a little bit. Mark actually has a really good illustration for this. So imagine like your life is on a plate and you have a bunch of pillars holding up that plate, right? So creativity can only be one of those pillars, right? What are the other pillars surrounding that? So for me, like physical health, family and friends, right? Like if any of my pillars get too high, my plate topples over. And so like you have to think of your life holistically as opposed to just like you creating a product of music. Because if that is too much of an emphasis in your life is going to topple, and that won't be able to be an emphasis of your life because you're going to have to work on putting back together the pieces of your life. So like focus on personal development, focus on goals outside of your career, focus on your career. Like there, you have to figure out what those like kind of core pillars are for your identity, for your life, because that's what's going to make you sustainable in this.
Yeah, that's a really cool metaphor. I dig it. Yeah, I'm just thinking about my life while you're saying that. And it's just like, we just came out of the Jewish holidays here, and it's just like an entire month where it was, I could barely even get this podcast out. And I was like,
oh my God.
You know, now that we're in a routine again, I feel so happy. It's like, oh, I got time to do my work, also be with my family, and it's great. It's like, you know, I don't know. That resonates with me totally. Yeah, let's jump into the sauce segment so people can kind of hear what your musical style is, because I feel like people should hear that. It's about time.
Yeah, it just honestly, it sounds like you walked into a sex dungeon. That's my musical style. That's what my stuff sounds like. That's the mood.
That was not my impression, but we'll put it on. And
okay,
people,
I've had multiple people tell me that. So
okay, I mean, I dug it, but it didn't sound like that to me. But can we leave this on the air? Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm down.
Yeah,
okay,
you're down. Okay, cool. So we'll pop it on the So you sent me a song called "Never Not Miss You" by Mallory Pacific, and it's your remix of that song. And you know, we talked about how you're a remixer
version of it. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. And so we'll have a listen to that for about 90 seconds. We'll talk about what went into it. Sounds cool?
Awesome. Yeah.
Made you a playlist and knew it'd be your favorite, cause no one got me like you did. Now I'm scrolling through all those songs, looking for where we went wrong, wondering if you miss me too. You were there in LAX, you know how good. Now I got my headphones in, always thinking back to when we had each other. My only issue, never not miss you. I can't get over all that we've been through. All love, you there in LAX. You know how I get. Now I got my headphones in, always thinking back to when we had each other. My only issue, never not. We had just you for the summer. I can't get over all that we've been through. I know. Ecstasy on our first kiss. Easier to see than do. Better than to reminisce. I know.
Yeah, man. Sounds really good. I mean, it sounds great.
Thank you.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about what went into that. I'm like, the low end is great. I love the vocal effects. That little sample riff that's happening in the background is really cool. Just very ethereal and vibey. You know, I don't know if I would go like Sex Cave vibey, but if in your words, that's fine. You know.
Honestly, I had a great mix engineer, Moshe Ackerman, mixed this track. And he pulled out elements in it that I didn't even know existed, and you know I produced the fucking thing. So,
well, first of all, Moshe was on the show. Like I think he was episode 7 or something. Like really the early days of the podcast. So
oh, nice.
We should.
I'll have to go check it out.
So definitely, yeah, he's awesome, and yeah, it sounds amazing. He did a great job.
Thank you. Yeah. Oh gosh. So this was. I think I started working on this one this year. And it came out just a few months ago. I think maybe like a month and a half ago. So this is kind of full on in my remix era as far as like what I've been working on. And so kind of the overall arc of how I started getting back into production was I took a little bit of a sabbatical last year after working with a few artists that were pretty manipulative. just kind of took a break when it came to